Thank you. We have plenty of seats, and Melody, do we have enough agendas to be printed some extra? So usually when we have a big crowd, it's usually good news or bad news, so I'm hoping it's going to end up on a good note. Right? 'Cause it's a new year, so only good. We're going to do our best to have the meeting move along. We have a couple of presentations this evening. So we're going to start this evening with our superintendent's update and report.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening. I will now take an opportunity to read you a statement regarding our district transportation. As I communicated in an email sent to all Mayapack's families and staff, Pamela Romeo will no longer be serving as our transportation supervisor for the Mayapack Central School District. We want to thank Ms. Romeo for her service to the district and wish her well in her future endeavors. In the meantime, the Transportation Department will be supervised on an interim basis by Mr. Peter Ferrone. Mr. Ferrone has over 40 years of experience in transportation. He was a director of transportation for the Carmel Central School District from 1993 to 2018. He also served at the Terrytown School System as well as Ossining. He will again have the support of Mr. Truce, and I want to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Truce, Steve Truce, for all his hard work over the last couple of weeks as we began to and continue to look at our transportation communication as well as our routing. Thank you. Well deserved. As you are familiar, this school year we encountered transportation issues with regards to routing and to communication. First, the bus routes developed and tested over the summer were unfortunately unrealistic when actually put into practice on the first day of school. As a result, some students were significantly late getting to and from school. This is unacceptable, and we apologize. Thanks to the feedback from parents and guardians, we've begun to identify these issues, particularly with certain bus routes, and made modifications. Second, there have been a number of communication concerns regarding bus delays and other transportation issues. This too is unacceptable, and we apologize. Moving forward, I've implemented a directive to all building administrators and employees, as well as the transportation department, to provide an alternate contact in the event of an emergency. Furthermore, we are looking on an improved communication protocol that will inform parents and guardians of major bus delays and issues in a timely manner. School transportation plays an important role in the education of our students and is a direct link between the neighborhood and the classroom. It is our goal to deliver a high-level service to the students and to the Mayapack community. Lastly, it's important for you to know that the high school and the middle school's new implemented 9-period day has been going very well. Not only is we are in line with our New York State requirements, but it also enables students to gain further educational excellence in programming. As we continue, if you need any additional information, please feel free to contact Mr. Ferrone, Mr. Truce in Transportation, as well as our Assistant Superintendent, Harvey Sotland, should any issues continue. We thank you for your continued patience, support, and collaboration during these difficult times over the last several weeks. I now, Madam President, would like to give an update on the superintendent's report about the first week and a half of school. Aside from transportation, as I just discussed, schools had a wonderful opening. I want to take this opportunity to thank our principals, our building administrators for their cooperation and patience over the first week and a half of school. As you are aware, most of our roofing projects, with the exception of Austin Road, have been completed. We have some buttoning up things to do over the next several weeks. Those things will be taking place after school as well as on the weekend. Those of you who have been in the middle school and high school, you have seen on the outside our new signage that is in front of both schools, as well as in our lobbies and in our cafeterias. We have information scrolling for students so that they can see updates and what's going on a daily and weekly basis. Every day they get an email blast sent to their Chromebook so they know activities, events, and things that are going on each and every day. The first couple of days of school, actually before school took place, I got to meet with the senior class, most, and their officers, as well as our maniacs. And I can't tell you how proud I am of all those three groups. We sat down together. The first football game, the senior class and most did not have an advisor. And some of you in the audience know for many years I was very much actively involved in the Touchdown Club and was the president. So I said to the kids and the students, listen, we're not going to pass out $3,000 to $4,000 that could go to your prom. So I stepped in, we organized at the first football game, we were there. And I really want to take this opportunity to thank Trustee Mongan and Trustee Musafa, who gave of themselves and their time to come in and help me out with the students in making that night a tremendous success. I'm happy to report that we now do have a senior class advisor and a most advisor who will be working with the students tomorrow at our senior football game. On that note, our superintendent's conference day was a great kickoff. The entire community, faculty and staff met up at the high school. We honored those individuals who have given service to the Mahopac Central School District for 30 years. It was a great opportunity for us to get together, and it was a great start to our educational school year. As you know, moms and dads and guardians, we've started our back-to-school nights. We had middle school and our K-2 elementary schools. Please, parents, make sure that you try to get to those nights over the next couple of weeks to see the great things that are going on in our classrooms and the outstanding faculty and staff that we have in service for your students each and every day. As I mentioned to you, tomorrow night is our senior football game. Next Wednesday night is our annual Mahopac Bonfire, which will take place up here at the high school backfield. That's at 6:30, and then next Friday night is our homecoming game. Also, senior games are going to be coming up in the next couple of weeks, and it's really important that we all get out as much as we can, but especially those senior games, to really acknowledge our student athletes, and especially those seniors who may be playing their last game here at Mahopac. So if we can get you to go out to those games, it would be deeply, deeply appreciated. This Saturday, from 9 to 1, at the Carmel Town Hall, 8th grade students will be able to help out in cleaning up the grounds and doing some plantings as a part of their community service that they need for the Washington, D.C. trip. Also, I want to acknowledge Mr. George Klein, our Buildings and Grounds Director. The Board of Education on Monday night accepted George's resignation. George will be leaving us and going to our next door neighbor, Lakeland, as the Buildings and Grounds Director there. That's where George grew up, and I know he's excited about his next chapter in his career, but I just wanted to thank George for all his service to the Mahopac Central School District over the last 4 years. His constant work and desire to upgrade our facilities both inside and out are deeply admired by all, and I think on behalf of myself and the entire board, I wish George all the best. Thank you, George. Very much appreciated. And Madam Secretary, Madam President, that is my report for this month.
So at this time, we will start our presentations. And our first presentation will be with our Assistant Superintendent of Business, Harvey Sotland, giving us the bond update.
Okay, good evening. Tonight, myself and Garrett Hamlin from Tetra Tech Architects and Engineering will be giving an update to the board and the public with respect to where we stand on the project. The first item to note is the construction manager RFP. We went out with an RFP several weeks ago, and today they actually came in. It was the due date. We got 5 proposals from 5 excellent firms, and what I can tell you is that over the next 3 to 4, perhaps 5 weeks, we'll be reviewing them, we'll be interviewing them, and we will have a recommendation to the board to actually award the contract to them. It's important to note why we need a construction manager. Really two key areas with respect to the project that we're going to be doing. One is the pre-referendum work. The pre-referendum is basically identifying the scope and the cost of what we need to have done. They play an integral part with regards to the cost. They are feet in the field. They know what things cost. The numbers that we're doing right now are really orders of magnitude. They will be able to hone in and really identify what the costs are as close as possible. The other part that they'll be doing, obviously, is when the construction actually begins. They will actually be the supervision on our behalf. They are on site managing the project with respect to supervision. So that's very critical, both roles. The other thing we started about 3 weeks ago, and it's still ongoing, is with regards to meeting with various stakeholders with respect to what we need in this project. Remember what we said earlier on. The driving force initially was our building condition survey. Those were the brick and mortar items that dealt with the schools. What we also have to look at is really the educational instructional component of the buildings as well. What in the buildings needs to be updated, replaced, repaired, and we have a host of them. So we have met with the principals. They in turn are meeting with their staff, and the superintendent has also met with the PTO, getting some input from them as well. This just lists some of the preliminary educational findings. The high school science labs, which are extremely dated, they're original with respect to approximately 6 of them. The high school music suite, various rooms, they're just not configured in a way that is efficient with respect to our program. The high school cafeteria serving area in the high school is extremely outdated and uninviting. We need to spruce that up. Both the high school and the middle school, the tech education, what we're talking about here is the STEAM program. Okay, we need to really update and really foster the STEAM programs in a better environment. The planetarium at the middle school, that has not been operational for quite some time, and it's a tremendous space that we're looking to repurpose. All the schools, every single school, the libraries are really the old traditional stacks with books and some desks and chairs. These need to be updated and really brought into the 21st century with respect to what you hear a lot about with respect to media centers. Okay? You'll be hearing more about what's a real media center and what does it include, but we need to bring these libraries forward. With regards to Austin Road, there's some perimeter fencing that we don't have, and it's a little bit of a problem with respect to trespassers, ATVs, and so forth coming on the property. At Lakeview, we have a host of 3 items here. The related services space needs to be reconfigured, updated. The nurse's office, if you've been in there, you might know that it's impossible for anybody in a wheelchair, for instance, to get in the bathroom. It's not ADA compliant. It's extremely small and confined. And lastly, the Lakeview Elementary School does not have any air conditioning in any of its large spaces. So in extremely hot weather, like we had at the beginning of the school year, there's really no place of relief for the students or the staff, whether it's the auditorium, the cafeteria, or the gym. So what we're looking at right now is to put air conditioning in one of those places, most likely the cafeteria, because that's where the children and the staff go to eat, and that's really where we provide them the relief that we're talking about. At this point, I'd like to turn it over to Garrett, who will go over the scope and the timeline.
Thank you, Mr. Sotland. Good evening, folks. I won't take long here. I know you have a busy agenda tonight, but I do want to take a moment and just talk about scope development for the project. So, as Harvey mentioned, there's a host of educational needs in the building. We also know there's an extraordinary amount of physical needs in the building: roofs, windows, boilers, et cetera, et cetera. And so, as we have done, and most of you have heard this before, but I wanted to share a little bit about the background of how we're going to develop the scope for this project. We have a comprehensive database of all the work that needs to be done in the district. It's in the form of a spreadsheet, and what's on the screen now is an image of that. What I'd like to do is just take 1 second and show you the actual spreadsheet. And so what this is a tool that we use to prioritize work within the district, and that will eventually be used to develop the capital project scope. So it's a very comprehensive tool, and I'll just arrow down here to show you that these are the lines that relate to the educational enhancements that Mr. Sotland has heard from each of the schools. So we've already incorporated those into the spreadsheet. You'll see that there's pricing there that says TBD. The construction manager will come and work with us to develop pricing for each of those items. We'll prioritize them and work through. So the other thing that tool provides for us is it rolls numbers up so that we can analyze them. This is a current snapshot in time, and the different colors represent different kinds of work. So you can see, for instance, in the high school, the green represents exterior envelopes. So we know that there's roofs and windows and boilers there that are a significant portion of that project, and we can see that graphically. Just a moment on schedule. So this is exactly the same slide that we showed you last month. We're right on track for what we had anticipated for at this point in the process. The goal being a proposition for a capital project in May of 2019. The board will need to take action on that in February, and we're looking to have the scope finalized for the project sometime before the end of the year. That would be ideal to see it finalized in December. And then one quick note on the long-term project schedule overall. If it votes successfully in May of 2019, we'd embark on design. It would go to SED, that's the red bar there. Once it's approved, it will be bid and start construction, most likely in the early 2020. It will certainly be a multi-year project and would wrap up in 2022 or 2023, depending on the scope and scale of the work. And that's what we have for you tonight, unless you have any questions. Okay.
Thank you, Garrett. That was much quicker than I thought, so I think that they're happy. Thank you. Just on that note, I'd just like to make an announcement. The board, we are putting together a community advisory committee for the capital project bond planning. If you have a willingness to volunteer and possess interest, experience, or qualifications in this area, we invite you to apply and ask the community. We ask community to submit a letter of intent, qualifications, and reason for interest to our district clerk, Melody LaRocca, and please submit this letter by September 27th. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. I now have great pleasure in calling up our Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Professional Development, Mr. Michael Tremblay, who will be providing us and his team with a presentation on opportunities for student success at Mahopac High School. Mr. Tremblay?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. DeCaro. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, members of the Mahopac educational community. I have the privilege to work with the team tonight to present to you opportunities for success for our students at Mahopac Central High School. We're going to be exploring some of the great programs that our high school has for our students to help them prepare for college and career readiness and to ensure supports along the way. We'll also be discussing some other opportunities that we are going to be looking at to continue to improve and provide more opportunities for our students to succeed. I'm joined tonight by Dr. Matthew Lawrence, the principal of Mahopac High School, Mr. Troy Bailew, Crystal Halton, Ms. Davia Bouget, Ms. Mariana Kalji, Elizabeth Stevens, and Dennis Quackenbush to share insights that they have with respect to particular programs throughout the high school and what we're providing for our students. I know it's late, and we want to make sure that we get home soon, so if anybody takes a mental or physical vacation from this presentation, we want you to know that this presentation has been synthesized from resources that currently exist on our website. If you navigate to the Mahopac website and particularly go under our school, this is really a deep dive into our high school profile, which provides input and insights to our programs for colleges as they're looking at what our students go through when they're considering applications. We also have made this up from our program of studies, which are various opportunities our students have to take courses of studies within particular content areas. So it's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Matthew Lawrence, the principal of Mahopac High School, to take a deeper dive into some of these fantastic programs we offer. Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Education, Mr. DiCarlo. Thank you very much for this invitation to come and join you here tonight. So to start the presentation, I just want to kind of envision the lens of the presentation that you're going to get as a Mahopac High School, as a comprehensive high school. And for me, I think in images, and I think of an umbrella. And when thinking of the comprehensive nature of this high school, it's not a little umbrella that one person might stand under. It's more like one of those golfer's umbrellas that seemingly endless number of people can stand under. So that's one of the themes that I'm hoping that you'll draw from our presentation here tonight. So what is a comprehensive high school? As defined by the ASCD, a comprehensive high school is a secondary educational institution that teaches an inclusive range of subjects and students across academic and vocational spectrum, expanding into and including arts, music, extracurricular activities, and athletic programs. So on this slide, you'll see a very, very healthy academic program ranging from Regents courses, honors, BOCES programs, WISE internships, college classes, AP courses, music, visual arts, performing arts, and world languages. Very, very healthy and strong academic program. Now, in the comprehensive nature, we balance it out with other opportunities for students to engage in the high school. Our very, very, very robust athletic program with 43 different athletic teams covering 28 sports and very, very impressive 19 scholar athlete teams last year. Scholar athlete teams are designated by an overall GPA on the team of 90 or over. We had 19 of such teams last year, which speaks to many, many different factors, including our students' dedication and understanding of who they are in terms of being scholar athletes. So we're very, very proud of that. And the extracurricular programs, we're very thankful to offer a very well-rounded program, 44 different clubs and opportunities for students to engage in either academic programs or athletic programs or special interests that aren't offered during the school day, or maybe a continuation of what is offered during the school day. And rounding the entire picture out, one of the strongest PBIS programs that I've encountered in my career as an educator, in our STRIVE program. And Ms. Umich is here with us tonight, who heads up that committee and that team, and she will be, at some point during the school year, giving a presentation to the board on the mission, the objectives, and the wonderful work that our STRIVE Club does in our high school. So that's the beginning of the presentation, so I'll pass it off now to Mr. Billiard.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. So I want to start by saying that what makes Mahopac High School unique is that the courses we offer every year is not the same. The amount of courses that we offer every year can change, and it's all based upon student choice. So what the student chooses really drives what we offer each year, and I think it really makes Mahopac a great school because we allow our students to follow their interests. So when you look at the comprehensive high school, you'll see that we have multiple ways of graduation, multiple pathways. We have a Regents pathway, honors, a new pathway we're working on right now for a freshman coming in next year is our STEAM or STEM pathway that you'll hear more about, and also something known as concurrent enrollment. And concurrent enrollment is when a student takes a high school course and gets college credit at the same time. And so the good thing is that if you start on a certain path in 9th grade, it doesn't mean that you have to stay on that path all the way to 12th grade. So we create opportunities for our students to cross paths as they progress. And so when you see here in the English diagram, you can start out in 9H English up top, and that is going to be your traditional pathway. And down below, you'll see the 9R Regents pathway. But say that they had a great experience in 9th grade, the opportunity to cross over to 10th grade honors in English does present itself. If we could just go back to the previous slide, I just want to touch upon the fact that at the high school also, we offer AP courses, and we also offer those concurrent enrollment courses. You can see the number of offerings that we're offering this year, and the number of colleges that we associate those college offering courses with. Okay, so now what we did was we took a little historical data here, and we see that over the past 5 years, we see that at Mahopac High School, our student enrollment from 5 years ago is decreasing a bit. But when you look at the number of students that are starting to move towards the concurrent enrollment, those are those college level courses, you can see that that's on the upswing. When you look at the AP numbers back in 2013-14, you'll see from there to where we are now, there was a little bit of a dip, but it's correcting itself. We do create, back 5 years ago, we created an opportunity for students to go into AP courses based upon no prerequisites. And so we had a little correction period there, but you can see that we're starting to get to the point where we have more students taking APs. And then if you look at 2018-19, it says TBA. Right now, based upon today's enrollment, we have 476 students taking AP courses. So that's a big upswing we're seeing into this year as well. Not only are they taking these AP courses, but they're performing well on them too, and that's a testament not only to our students, but to our teaching staff at Mahopac High School. And you can see that over the years, the number of AP exams have dipped a little, and they're coming back. As I said, 476 is projected this year, and you can see that the students continue to score well on it as a 3+ or higher. To get college credit, it's usually a 3 or higher, as college credit with APs is tied to the score, whereas the concurrent enrollment, you get the credit at the end of the course. And I think that's why we might see more of our students going towards that route. And as you can see there, we have a tradition of always having national AP scholars come through our high school. You can see that we continue to do well with the number of scholars and the number of students that are successful on those AP exams each year. And with that, I'm going to give it back to Dr. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Bilyeu. So continuing on with our understanding of Mahopac High School as a comprehensive high school, with students touching all the way up into college and AP courses, we really brag about our work in preparing students for the workforce if that's what they so choose. With that said, we have a huge number of students, 155 students that are currently enrolled in our BOCES Tech program, which is an outstanding program offered by Putnam Northern Westchester BOCES. Our students are enrolled in 69 different courses across all 9 academies that our tech program has to offer. Mahopac has the tradition of one of the strongest WISE programs that you'll find in our region, backed by really enthusiastic teachers with outstanding connections in our community in terms of giving our students internship or project work to kind of further develop their interest in whatever career field that they so choose. I reached out to a couple of our teachers asking them some of their most proud moments or some of their most proud internships. The list was huge, but I wrote down a couple. Last year, our Genesis project, which was started some years ago by Mr. Connick, had the opportunity to present to NASA's Goddard Center in Maryland on their research and work. Our nursing interns have helped deliver babies, if you can imagine that. Our teaching interns have created lessons and helped implement those lessons in elementary room classrooms. So these are all internship opportunities that our high school students are having the great chance to experience while still enrolled in high school, which will help them to decide when they move on to college which route they're going to take in their college studies. And then our growing and amazingly strong science research program. And Ms. Stevens and Mr. Quackenbush have very generously agreed to come and talk to you about this outstanding program that we offer at the high school. So I'll invite Ms. Stevens and Mr. Quackenbush up.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. So by 2020, 65% of all jobs and 92% of STEM-related jobs will need some sort of post-secondary training. To get there, students need not just the content knowledge, but the ability to communicate effectively, solve problems, analyze information and data, and think critically. Using research to make informed decisions is a critical skill which impacts success. Fortunately, students at Mahopac High School are doing this every day in most of their classes. One example is Syracuse University Science Research that myself and Dennis Quackenbush teach at the school. It's a 3-year program where kids have the opportunity to earn up to 8 college credits at a reduced cost, but they're doing this while they're learning critical career skills, while they're making connections to scientists actively working in the scientific community. They're planning and completing a novel self-directed research project relevant to their own field of interest that eventually they're going to present at local science competitions. Our high school students are completing research that most people would not get to until their later years in college or even beyond. They've worked at local hospitals, research institutions, and in industry, and their hard work has paid off. Just last year, myself and Mr. Quackenbush stood here in front of you, and we were able to honor 2 of our students that made it to 2 different international science research competitions. One of them is currently in the process of being published, and she's currently a high school student. This year also marks the first probationary year of the Science National Honor Society. We're working with high school students that are committed to science to develop a mentoring program to encourage more middle school students to enter into the middle school science fair at the district-wide STEAM fair. Our goal with the program is to have more kids involved and to get them to do deeper science, more meaningful science as they participate in the fair. We hope that over the next few years, all kids at Mahopac Middle School and the high school will be pushing themselves further by embarking upon some form of scientific research and developing skills along the way that are going to help them be successful along whatever path they choose for their future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Stevens, Mr. Quackenbush. Excellent opportunities for our students in that science research program. So in front of you, you see bar graphs. Bar graphs are always fun to read. But what we're showing here is a measurement of students acquiring New York State Regents diplomas, and then a percentage of our students acquiring advanced Regents diplomas. So at first glance, you can look at this in all different ways. You'll see that really over the course of the last 6 years, we've been holding strong. Our students, as we know, really, really succeed. But I would like to point out to you maybe some comparison percentages for you to kind of look at this with. So the New York State average for students acquiring Regents diplomas is at 43% last year. So you see our students last year were pushing up into the 90s, right? Further, the New York State average for students acquiring an advanced Regents diploma was at 33% across our state, right? And you'll see that half of our graduates have achieved that. So we're really, really proud of the work that our students put in and the excellent product that they give forth. At the end of the school year, our guidance counselors, not that they only work with the students at the end of the school year in terms of their post-secondary plans, but it's at that time of the year where we really start zeroing on students and in terms of the surveys and how they're reporting where they're going to move on to after they leave us. Our guidance program, which Ms. Callaghy will be here in just a bit to explain to you a little bit further, does an outstanding job all year long in working with our students through our Naviance program to help students zero in a little bit. So as we know, when you look at, here we have 6 years worth of data. The blue bar, as we know, a majority of our students attend 2 or 4 year universities. That number is exceedingly high. But what I would like to point out to you, which is really interesting when I looked at these bar graphs, was if you look to the far right? So the dark blue is military or employment, and then the tan is other, which is, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do after high school, or maybe I'm going to take a sabbatical year. It's some category other than attending college, going to the military, or I'm going to go to work. If you look at that tan piece, starting at 2013 and going all the way down to 2018, you see how that gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. That is a fine testament to our community, the moms and dads and guardians at home, and working with their students and helping them understand and work with them throughout their schooling careers on what they want to do when they leave high school. Our high school staff and specifically our guidance counselors who work with our students all the way through. And it's really reassuring and refreshing to see that in these difficult high school years, when students are leaving the K-12 institution that they know and love, that they, more and more of them every year are knowing exactly what they're going to do next. So I wanted to point that out to you because I think that's really an excellent example of the work that we do. With that being said, I would like to invite Ms. Callaghy and Ms. Cummings to step up to the podium and speak to you a little bit about the great work that they do.
Thank you, Dr. Lawrence. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to go off script for a second here, and I want to thank the community, superintendent and board for your continued ongoing support. We had an excellent showing of parents at freshman orientation already this year. We had almost 200 people come for financial aid night this year. Next week, we have Mahopac University night. I'm hoping everyone can come out for that. And we just finishing up tomorrow working with seniors in college application workshops. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity to do all that. But I think it's worth quickly to just review the mission that we have, and that's to facilitate the academic success, the social and emotional growth of our students, and their college and career readiness. We have some amazing students. We're very proud of them. But there's a lot that you may not see that goes on. There's a public part of what we do, and Julie is going to talk about that. But then there's also the part that we know any given day, any given moment, we're going to be maybe a tearful student in our office with a peer conflict, or maybe there's an academic struggle that they're struggling with, and we want to be able to support them. And often we're on the phone with mom or dad, you know, trying to sort of put our heads together, circle the wagons for them. So there's a lot that is not public and is not publicized to the community that we work with students every day, parents every day, and we are proud to serve this community. Every student benefits from both parts of what we do. If you think about it like an iceberg, there's the tip of the iceberg, that's the public part, that's the programming that we do. And then you have the part that's below the surface. That's the whole iceberg is available for every student. I hate to say iceberg because you think Titanic, but really, this is not what I mean. But it's just trying to get a visual to what we do. And Julie's going to come up next and talk about our specific programming. But again, I just want to thank everyone for your support, for our programs, and for our efforts every day.
Thank you. So I'm tasked with kind of putting 10 pound material in a 2-pound bag, so I'm going to be pretty brief. The counseling department has an established curriculum for each grade. In 9th and 10th grade, our focus is on career exploration, getting students to start to look at what they're doing in the classroom and what they're doing in the community to kind of get that matched up with the career they can pursue when they graduate high school. And those are some of the programs that we offer. You'll have that in your handouts. In 11th and 12th grade, we continue with that career exploration, and we add the college exploration component in as well. And during this time, we help students match up those career interests to a pathway in college and post-secondary planning. So how they can use all the years of schooling that they have, all the activities that they've done in the community, and how they can plan to go out and find a profession and a career for them. One of the key tools that we use is Naviance, which we started with 9th grade, again using that for career exploration, and then in 10th grade, and then in 11th and 12th grade, it moves on to college applications and college exploration. So it's a tool that we can use to give information to students, and a tool that we can use to get information from our students as far as colleges they're applying to and career interests they have, so we can help with programming in the future. Okay, and I think I hand off.
Thank you, ladies. As you heard, our superintendent talk to you earlier tonight about the high school moving to a 9-period day. It brought some opportunities for our students to take advantage of the extra additional period. For the first time in many years, we have students that are actually fitting a lunch during the day. to the point where our cafeterias are starting to overflow. And so it's really great to see that during the day, they're not going 8 periods straight with all courses. They're actually finding time to have that lunch with their classmates. It also creates an opportunity for students to build a competitive transcript as well. You know, today as they go to college, they're competing not only with students next door, but also with students globally. And so it's an opportunity for students to take that additional course. And another note is that a lot of our students are involved with many extracurricular activities after school. And so they're taking a huge amount of classes during the day, extracurricular activities after school, and some of them are staying up until 10, 11 o'clock doing homework at night. So some of our students actually this year have decided to take advantage of that study hall. And that study hall gives them an opportunity during the day to kind of get some work done, which on the back end really saves them some time. So the 9-period day, as it was discussed earlier, is off to a great success. We're going to continue to learn from it and improve moving forward. At the high school also, you know, when we talk about students succeeding, we have many support programs. We have a credit recovery program where students can look to recover credit that they were unsuccessful in the first time. We have opportunities such as night school. We have STEP, which is after school from 3 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's an opportunity to work with our high school teachers to get some support. For the first time during this 9-period day schedule, it also brought the opportunity for us to build a true AIS component during periods 4 through 8. And that's in room 111. And we have teachers there on a rotating basis where students during their lunch period or during the study hall can go get support in the form of academic intervention. We have a great program at Mahopac Academy, which has been successful for years in getting some of the students that, you know, Mahopac, the high school halls might be too big for them, so it's something a bit smaller, something a bit more supportive, and we've seen that students who struggled in the past are graduating with flying colors. So a great program. Our ENL population has grown over the years to the point where now we have 3 ENL teachers at the high school. And it's really great to see that we've been able to build a program where we're not just pulling students out of the classroom, we're actually having our ENL teachers push into the classroom. And I've been to an algebra class where we have the regular English-speaking teacher teaching algebra in front of the classroom, and then our ENL teacher speaking Spanish to the students at the same time. It's pretty impressive to see. And for the first time, we have our ENL students really getting the support that they need. When you look at the everything that we offer, something that's really special to us here at Mahopac is we have a skills program. And in the skills program, we have students that may have Down syndrome, and they have an opportunity to integrate into the high school and take classes with students in the high school, as well as classes in a self-contained environment. And it's impressive to see our students really embrace the students that are in the skills program to make their time at the high school so special. And then the last piece that we're just going to highlight on is our STAR program. And it's kind of a bridge program for students going from 8th grade into 9th grade that may struggle. And it creates an opportunity really for these students that might not have been so successful in grades 6, 7, and 8, and they're a little concerned about coming into the high school. They come during the summer for a few days during the summer, I think it's a couple weeks, and they work with our high school teachers that are predominantly 9th grade teachers, and they start to build those relationships with those teachers, and they start to build that academic foundation for success entering high school. So some really great support, some really great opportunities at the high school within our 9-period day. With that, I'm going to hand it off to our clinicians.
Hi, thanks for having us. The high school, I love the analogy of an umbrella. And if you were to say that the clinical team were the arms of the umbrella, that's truly what we are, is the arms of the umbrella. And we're constantly moving and constantly different working parts at all times. I think for us, the clinical team, which is very robust this year, which is amazing, really coincides with the significant research that's out there, and actually that's substantial, that says you can certainly implement mental health programs, school-based mental health programs, which significantly can improve physical health, mental health, academic success, and social outcomes. So I think for us, that's really important. And the high school offers an array. So if you look at it from top down, we're on every floor. We're everywhere you look, which is nice. Not always for the kids because there's 1,600 students in the building, but we're there. We're there for every minute of it. And they start to meet us in 8th grade when they move up. So you can see here, this is really our east-west clinical team. As you walk in the front door of the building, it's split. We have our student assistant counselor, Ms. Gay, who's upstairs. We have our flexible support program, and as Troy mentioned, our NHS Academy. So again, you've got 4 social workers, 3 school psychologists supporting 1,600 students throughout the building. Again, creating a safe space, and we love the mission of Mahopac this year, which is wonderful and coincides with Strive. This is what our students are. And before they even walk in the building, they are compassionate. They are problem solvers. They're resilient. They're safe risk takers. And so as a clinical team, what we are in the building is that support. Anytime a student is in crisis, we're there. Anytime there's a need, we're there. Again, it's one of those services, you don't always see us, but we're within the building.
So we tend to think, or maybe we want to think, of mental health struggles as adult problems. But what we know is that mental health problems begin, 50% of them, by the age of 14, and 75% by the age of 24. And 20% of adolescents can experience a mental health problem in any given year. We also know that the earlier we identify and treat these issues, the better the outcomes. Right? So, as Crystal said, that's what the clinical team is there for. She outlined the roles and the programs that make up the clinical team, the services provided, ranging from crisis intervention to goal-oriented counseling, to health promotion, education activities, presentations. These are all opportunities for social-emotional learning that can enable students to better access their education now and build skills for resiliency and well-being that carry into adulthood. I did want to mention to everyone that September is when we recognize National Recovery Month, and it's a time where we acknowledge that prevention works and treatment is effective, and people can and do recover every day from a variety of mental health issues, including substance use disorders. Thank you.
So hopefully we've given the community and the board insights into some of the great opportunities that our students have for success in Mahopac High School. But we believe in a continuous improvement model, and to that, we're always looking for opportunities to continue to provide programs for our students to succeed. In particular, we're right now looking at the possibility of implementing a summer school program to help students regain credit that they may have not had an opportunity to gain during the school year. We've talked about extensively tonight the 9-period day. We're constantly looking at, and thank you to the MTA and the district for agreeing to that collaborative agreement that allowed us to not only meet state mandates, but also to provide opportunities for more teacher-student contact time or support time. And also, I know we mentioned this, but I do want to mention it again, that some students now have the first lunch period that they've had in a couple of years, so allowing them to be able to sustain their brain work throughout the day. So we'll continue to look at that, make sure that we constantly tweak that, listen to our teachers, listen to our students, listen to our building administrators so we implement that appropriately. We're also looking at extended and expanded partnerships, not only with other universities or colleges, such as expanding our STEM program, looking at Westchester Community College, Dutchess Community College, continuing to look at the Syracuse University programs or other opportunities that exist, but also community-based relationships. Just this week, I've had the opportunity to meet with the Chamber of Commerce. I met with the Lions Club today. I'll be meeting with Rotarians, the VFW, American Legion within the next coming weeks, seeking to see how we can, if we're talking about college and career readiness, give back to the community, but at the same time gain some experience and develop some of those dispositions that are appropriate for the workplace. So we're always looking at those opportunities as well. As we end tonight, I hope that our community and the board has questioned when we say, what do we talk about when we mean success? Because that means that we're really identifying what we value as an educational community and what we value for our students. I would also like to argue Victoria Bernhardt, who's a researcher and a leading educator in continuous improvement of schools, argues that there are multiple measures of success, and to look at any one measure in isolation is not really doing a full dive into what makes that successful, what processes are in place, and how to sustain and continue to improve and provide those opportunities for success. So when we think about as a community what we value, once we identify what we value as criteria for success, it's also important to remember that we need to take a look at what data will we accept to prove if we're meeting that, and to not look at those data points in isolation. We often can look at rankings, test scores, individual feedback as data, but we also have to consider some of the processes that go into place and other measures
that are associated with that. So I'll leave the community and the board tonight with a reflection question. I know it's late, not going to ask you to dive too deeply into this, but what do we value when we consider success? What do we want to see out of our students, out of our schools, and out of our programs? And I really want to take this opportunity again to thank the high school team who's helped me learn in my first few days here, all the great opportunities and programs that are occurring at the high school. I'm sorry, Ms. Cummings, I forgot to introduce you at the beginning, but I really do appreciate your time away from your families, the time you put into this, and the time to explain some of the really great things that you're doing for our students, and I truly appreciate it. And I'll turn it over to questions, if there are any.
Any board members, any questions?
I just have one question. Okay, do you know how many ninth graders there are in study halls?
Do we have that figure off the top of our head? So we don't have that. We will definitely find that for you, and we'll make sure we get that to the board. You're welcome.
I would like to say thank you so much. I know we have a long way to go, but we are getting there. And I'm really excited on behalf of the board of the new initiatives. And I think it's really important that we talk to our students, and I see the conversation happening. What are their needs? What are they looking for? How can we help them be successful? The dialogue really has to go two ways to help our students be successful in what they need. So thank you very much for what you're doing, Mr. Tremblay. Thank you so much. And for the team for coming out tonight, thank you very
Great
much.
job.
And all you're doing. So
Thank you.
thank you. Okay. At this time, we have comments on agenda items only. Are there any comments on agenda items only? No? Okay. We will go into make acceptance of warrants. Can I have a motion for the acceptance of warrants? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the treasurer's report for September treasurer's report? Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve work session minutes for August 13th, 2018? Second? All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve regular meeting minutes for August 16th, 2018? All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Can I have a motion to approve special meeting for August 21st, 2018? Approval of the minutes? Second? All in favor? Any against? Any abstentions? Nope. Okay. This time we have our Board of Education Committee reports, and I know this evening we have 2 or 3. So can we start with the Finance Committee? Trustee Kazari?
Finance Committee met on September 17th, and Carlo, Assistant Superintendent Sopra, trustees Sopra and Mondi were present. Assistant Superintendent for Business Solid updated the committee with respect to the corporation status report. Mr. Sotland discussed his vision to increase the interest income that is realized by the district. He also updated the committee on the status of our annual external audit, which should be completed mid-October. We meet again before the next meeting. I think we're in before on the Monday before the next work session.
Thank you. Trustee O'Connor?
Thank you. The Technology Committee met on September 6th here at the Fall School. Present were Dr. Stoll, Mr. Tremblay, Trustee Fafaro, Trustee Masato, and myself. It's really just a kickoff, starting the school year to discuss what the technology program is, what the plan is, and where we're headed. The state mandates that a 3-year plan is put in place, and Dr. Stoll and his team have put together a plan. They're going to be presenting it to the board in October. And I will tell you that the plan addresses numerous issues in terms of access, instruction, digital security and privacy, safe and secure environment, connectivity, hardware, software, Chromebooks, everything. As you know, I'm very, if you heard me talk about the technology department in the past, I think it's fantastic here because I think Dr. Stoll and his team do a fantastic job. And I think moving forward, it's only going to get better. So I want to congratulate Dr. Stoll and his team for putting together such a great program. I look forward to seeing the plan in October. And then also just a reminder for all you parents, if you haven't signed up for the insurance for the Chromebooks, it is recommended that you do so. Accidents do happen, and signing up for that insurance will soften the blow if something happens to your Chromebook. So please consider it. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee O'Connor. I think that's it for committee reports at this time. Okay. We have the consent agenda. Any items to be pulled for discussion? I will pull A and M. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Motion to approve consent agenda minus letters A and M. Second? All in favor? Aye. Any against? Any abstentions? Okay. Motion to approve letter A from the consent agenda. Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any noes? Any abstentions? Trustee Kazari abstain? Thank you. Vice President Morgan, can you kindly read letter M, donation for March Madness?
It is my honor to do so, Madam President. Resolved upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Board of Education does hereby accept $2,287 in donations from the March Madness former elementary school fundraiser. These funds will be used to purchase computer lab room furniture.
Thank you. Motion to approve letter M on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Any abstentions? Any noes? Okay, thank you. At this time, we come to resident comments. So if there are any resident comments at that time, we ask you to please come to the podium, announce your name, and please know that we are limiting it to 3 minutes, so we will stick to our 3-minute rule.
There's still no sound for people.
I'm sorry, there's no sound?
So the member of the audience take this so people can see it, hear it.
There's no sound? Stop. One. Okay. We're filming it now.
There's no sound. Why is there no sound?
Stas, you.
I don't know why there's no sound on the live stream, but I can tell you that as of tonight, this will be up on the district YouTube news channel, so it will be able to be seen again. It's not on the live broadcast, but we will fix the sound issue, and this video will have sound when it goes up on our YouTube channel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was hoping some other people would speak besides me, but Alexandra Cousins, C-O-U-Z-E-N-S, Archer Road. I feel like I'm up here again and it's deja vu. Once again, I've been asking for the same thing on behalf of our parents, our community, our taxpayers, our teachers, our drivers, our aides, everybody. We want more transparency and a greater say in what goes on here. Here we are again with a decision, whoever made the decision to split up our two schools, the high school and the middle school. I don't know who made the decision, I don't care who made the decision, I'm sure there were good reasons for the decision, but it was an absurd decision. The reason it was an absurd decision is because once again, where was the community input? Where was a survey, a questionnaire, a forum, a meet and greet where we could discuss the implications of this happening? Not only of this happening or being piggybacked onto the state mandate, but it wasn't implemented properly. So Pamela has been let go or resigned or whatever. That's a Band-Aid. There are so many issues. This is a drop in the bucket. If such a huge thing was going to be implemented, why didn't we take 6 months to do it or a year to do it? Why didn't we get input from teachers aides, from the individuals who drive our kids every day, from the individuals who coordinate the service community, the kids' service community points, which I'm going to get into in a minute? Why didn't we talk to these people and find out the pros and cons of doing this, rather than a group of individuals, such as yourselves, who probably did have some good reasons for doing this, but you didn't get everybody's thought. You didn't get, as far as I know, I didn't see any survey, questionnaire, parental community input whatsoever. Teachers are complaining, aides, drivers, parents. I don't have to tell you about what the kids have gone through for the last 3 weeks. Every single bus problem in this community for the last 2.5 weeks is because of the school split up and how it was implemented. And if anyone disagrees, I challenge you to tell me where I'm wrong with that. Okay, so I'm just going to get into a couple of points right away, just a couple of points. And if I go over 3 minutes, I'm sorry. But I'm just going to...
You have a 1 minute mark, and I just want to be consistent for anyone else that wants to come here.
So, some of the consequences that you may not have taken into consideration, beyond, of course, what I've already said about the community having no say in this, is that academic time has been destroyed. My kid, I have an 8th grader, my 10th grader, thank God, transferred. My 8th grader has not gotten into first period once yet on time. On top of that, he's in accelerated science for 9th period. He has been dismissed early 3 times because the bus schedule isn't going to work out unless they give up 10 to 12 minutes of their 40 minutes of accelerated science. Prior to that, he's being told, you can show up late for accelerated science because you have to go get your backpack between 8th and 9th period because the buses aren't going to make it. So out of the 40 minutes or 42 minutes, how many minutes of accelerated science has this kid gotten in the last 2 weeks? Maybe this is a no issue to you, but it is week 3, and it happened again today. I'm sorry, I pay $18,000 a year in taxes. My kid's gonna get his academic time. I don't give a crap about the bus schedule at this point. Fix it or go back to the old schedule.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to get up? Please state your name. I'm sorry, 3 minutes.
Who would allow me to speak for
It's a part of our policy. You can come back after, let everyone else, and then if you want to come back, you can come back.
Thank you, because you are the taxpayers and the voters here, and they are elected. Right? Okay, a couple more points. When my kid was in 8th grade, the one who transferred, he had the right to go back to the elementary schools and be a reading buddy for the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd graders. That right has been eliminated because of this new schedule. So he loses community time. Those little kids lose the right to have a reading buddy. My now 10th grader who's transferred, he used to go to the 8th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade and tutor those kids. It was a win-win situation. He would go tutor and get community service. Those kids who needed it would get free tutoring. That too is out the door with this new schedule. My kid's Spanish teacher has 31 kids in the class. 31 kids, that's a whole separate issue. I don't even know if we're like in Appalachia or East LA. 31 kids? That's a different issue. This teacher has obligations at the high school and isn't sure about when after-school time, after-school help is going to happen, if it's going to happen. So I asked him, maybe you could get an 8 in the class since you have 31 kids. That's out of the question. So now we're losing after-school help because they have to run to the high school. Just a couple more and I promise you I'll sit down. Actually, I'm just, we need transparency. We need parental input, community input. And I beg of you to listen to everybody here and everybody out in the community. Stop and think. Why can't you guys say, just admit it. It was a problem, it was a mistake, it was a bad decision. Let's go back, have the middle schoolers start with the high schoolers. I don't care what time they start. Let's just put it behind us and say, starting November 1st, we're going to do a rollback. Let's study the pros and cons. If you guys think it's a good decision after getting everybody's input, re-implement it in September again. But don't jump into this kind of decision with kindergartners getting home at 5 o'clock, teachers having to stay after to watch the kids, drivers getting screamed at. I don't know, I can't think of a, I've been in this district for 19 years, I've lived here. I have never seen anything like this. I also represent, as an attorney, certain school boards and education departments, and I have never in my professional life seen anything like this as well. Thank you.
Good evening, Melissa Bielchini. I've got a 7th grader, a 6th grader, and a 4th grader. I'm going to piggyback on, I forget your first name, I'm sorry. I'm not really sure where the decision came from to split the middle school and the high school. I have been in Mahopac. I went through Mahopac, I graduated Mahopac, and the schools have been on the same schedule since my sister graduated in '81, they've been on the same schedule. They have never been split like this. Not only is it screwing everything up time-wise, but did you guys figure out what the extra cost for the extra bus run is, the wear and tear on the buses, and not to mention the drivers? So what cost effect does that extra bus run have, not only in time delaying kids getting to school and home from school, but what's that cost going to be put to us, the taxpayers, for this district? I'm wondering why an elementary school is being let out sooner than in the middle school. And I also want to know why we extended the day. It's a 30-minute extension, give or take, with the less 1 minute in between schools, which my 6th grader is having a difficult time with. But why, if we extended the school day, my 6th grader has a study hall first period? I'm not really sure where that comes into play. If we had to add time to the school day to be in compliance with New York State for education time in the classroom, where does the study hall come into educational time? When Mr. DeGrandi was here, he implemented the IST at the end of the period. My son in 6th grade, who is now in 7th grade, was benefiting from that because he was able to make up a lab or make up an orchestra, because we will not let my child be pulled from a core class for orchestra, so we have to work around that as well. Why that IST was taken away, and now my son, who is a 6th grader, is getting to his class 9th period late because he's a 6th grader where I guess most of his classes are in the back. His locker's in the front, and the other day somebody closed his backpack string into the locker, and he was 10 minutes late to class because they had to get the custodian. The key broke in the lock, and then he was 10 minutes late to class. They were not released early yet because they were not in zone 1, but I did hear parents saying that their children in 9th grade were being dismissed 10 to 15 minutes early. But my son was late and has been late to 9th period because he can't make it from the back of the school to the front of the school to the back of the school again. So I told him, leave your backpack and get it on your way to the cafeteria, because he's now being shuffled into the cafeteria to be in zone 3 dismissal. So, I spoke to him about that. I also want to know why, if we voted on a bus grant or bond, I forget what it was called, I think it was last year or the year before, why we voted on this. It was approved, and then when the buses went to be ordered, they were ordered and then blocked, so the new buses did not come in June when they were supposed to be here, and now they're coming in November, and on the 3rd or 4th day of school, our bus broke down. The bus was 30 plus minutes late. We had to already drive our kids to school to be in class on time because they were late the first week of school. So now, because where we are, our bus has been late, so we're driving our children to school every morning, but I'm paying taxes for buses that cannot get our kids to where they need to be.
Is anyone else giving her their time? Is there, how many, can you raise your hand if you want to get up and speak because you want to make sure everyone. So who's getting up to speak? Not that you're giving her time.
All right,
One, two?
I'll
Okay.
be one more second. Okay. Lastly, it's my understanding that I'm going to two things and they're going to relate to each other. So with the split of the middle school and the high school, this has never been done. It's been the same for 30, 40 years. I think didn't you go to Mayapack, right? You went to school at the exact same time. 6th graders on the bus with 12th graders. There's never been a problem, and so they're menial that we could take care of. By splitting this and adding an extra bus run, when that first bus is late, everybody else is late. I wrote an email on the 3rd day of school to the superintendent, to Pam, who apparently is no longer here, and to anybody on the board that had an email address. I did not receive a single response back from anybody. And I sent it, and I tried to be very what it was. No response. I even said, with the holiday, the Jewish holiday for Monday and Tuesday, go back to the prior times, get the two schools on the exact same time. You had 4 days to figure it out because you're still doing the same bus run, and there was no response. You need to get these buses and these kids back on track. Put them on the same schedule. Even if you do it after the school break in January. You're doing, these kids can wake up in the morning. They're doing sports. It's my understanding that the buses for the sports now cannot leave until later, which is getting these kids who are in our athletic teams that we pride ourselves on in Mayapack. They're getting to their destination late, and they're being in jeopardy of having to forfeit that game because the buses cannot leave timely to get them to where they need to be. So again, like the last person said, we urge you, because again, like she said, there was no community anything. You guys want a community group for capital improvements? You should have gotten a community group for this major change in the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Marissa Vinci, and I have been in Mayapack for 5 years. I moved up here to give my children a better life. I have an 8th grader, and I have a 2nd grader. Where's the communication? Why are we getting communications 45 minutes after this whole entire explosion happens? There's no reason why my daughter needs to text me and say, Mom, I'm stuck on the bus. And I work not that close, and my husband works in the Bronx. My children are by here by themselves. I have no plan B. I just have my kids. It's not fair. It's disgusting. I am outraged that we're getting emails, I'm sorry. That I'm sorry does not do anything. You can't cover it up. You're putting a Band-Aid on it, and you shouldn't. These are children. These are parents that do not work up here, are far, and they're panicking. Is it fair? Is it? I don't think it's fair. I don't think that my children should come off the bus drenched in sweat, and they're like confused. There's no reason why I should get an email that my daughter's bus from Lakeview is late. Why can't I get a phone call? And then 45 minutes later, that's unacceptable. And then you're gonna get a letter, and you're gonna send a letter saying, we are sorry? Come on, really? Are you really sorry? Or are you just covering it up?
Thank you.
Good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Frank Lombardi. Most of you know me, and I know most of you, and we've been friends for many years. A lot of people wanted to give me their time, but I spoke to the president earlier, and she said you're limited to 3 minutes, but who knows, maybe I have like 15 minutes of questions for you at a minimum.
I think everyone's giving you their time tonight,
Yeah,
Frank.
I'm sure they will be, because some of the things that I've seen and heard over the past couple of weeks is not a great reflection of the Mayapack School District, which I know it to be. Let me start off with a story. In 2003, my son, who's now in college, junior, just like some of your children, got on his bus, first day of kindergarten. He didn't remember it because he was 5. I remember that day, he put him on the bus. Maybe the bus was a couple minutes late. I remember him getting off the bus. He was happy, he was content. Fast forward to 2018. my brother, who, by the way, pays a lot of school taxes here in town as well, has his little son, my nephew, who has been going to pre-K and stuff for the past couple of years, and he loves school, and he was so looking forward to kindergarten day. Well, he gets picked up at the bus at my parents' house, and Mr. Carl, you know where my parents live because you've been there, and other people know where it is, to Austin Road, which is 4 minutes away. My parents do a favor for my brother and sister-in-law, putting the kids on the bus, taking them back. So Austin Road, from the house is roughly 4 minutes away. The bus usually comes right at the corner where my parents live, approximately 3:20, 3:30. That bus did not get to my parents' house, or where the drop-off is, till 5:30. Now, mind you, these are grandparents wondering where their grandchildren are. No communication. If it happened to any one of our children, and by the way, we can call up and say, we complain about the taxes, we complain about teacher giving too much homework. The one thing that we require is that our kids are safe. And that day, people in this community did not know where their children were or if they were safe. That's a problem. Other things which got me very annoyed was, number one, my daughter goes to the BOCES program, and for whatever reason, on that first day of school, the bus from BOCES broke down. First day of school. Now, maybe that was a glitch. Could have been a glitch. But that bus was late coming back as well. What really annoyed me, and I think many people in this neighborhood, in this community, is that when they tried to call the transportation office to find out where their children were, no one had the decency to pick up the phone and respond. Imagine not knowing where your kids are and the school transportation department basically not answering the phone, not giving anybody information. Now I read, and I don't know if it's true or not, but somebody was so disgusted that nobody picked up the phone that she came here. And when she came up the stairs, she reported to me that she heard someone say to one of the secretaries or whoever it was, "Don't pick up the phone." Has that been looked into? That is the listen, we are, besides parents, taxpayers, and we pay for the people who take care of the kids, we take care of those who answer the phones. So that in and of itself, that really set me off, and I know lots of other people. Other people sent me messages and pictures of their children drenched in sweat, first day of school, confused, sad, discouraged. I'm not sure if it's gotten that much better up until today. And I had spoken to someone who has lived in this community longer than probably any of us, because his family is like an original Mahopac person. Okay? That's just, the town is, some streets are named after the family. He said, Frank, he goes, in all the years that I've been here, he's a couple of years older than me, the middle school and the high school were always together. And I don't understand the reason behind the change. And if there was one, I'd love to stand here and listen to the superintendent give an explanation for all of us, because I think we can come up here and speak and ask questions. But until, why don't somebody answer our question, if you can, as to why that happened. The other thing is, where the bus personnel consulted over the course of the summer as to, hey, we're changing some of the pickup locations. Is it a good location? Is it a safe location? In my particular development, the kids were always inside the development waiting for the buses. And on the first day of school, I noticed I was driving to work, and first and second graders, they were waiting there, but then when the bus came, they had to go all the way out to the main road. So I asked some of the other people in the neighborhood, has it always been here? Because I'm only there 5 years. And they're like, Frank, it was always in the same spot. Nobody told us why it was moved out to Union Valley Road, where these little kids have to go out there. I don't think it saves any time, because the kids have to look to see if the bus comes, walk from that spot to Union Valley Road. The bus is stopped, cars are stopped behind it for traffic. Before this plan was implemented to change some of the locations, was there a dry run done by anyone? Was it approved by the superintendent? Where did these changes come from? Why were they made? And now that you've seen that it's not better, and the community is calling for it, I don't understand why a high schooler has to stand outside of the bus at 6:35. And by the way, the winter's coming, and at 6:35, it's going to be real cold and it's going to be real dark. So that's something that should be looked into as well. I do think that now that whatever personnel decisions that you guys made, regardless of how it transpired, you have an opportunity now to correct some of the mistakes that were made, and to at least have some of the people here feel that changes were made, that they've been listened to, and that perhaps maybe my little nephew won't remember his first day of school, but maybe his parents will remember that, hey, that day was a bad day, but it got changed because the school district and the administration made the changes necessary, listened to the community, and put things back together where they were. In talking to people from Yorktown, and talking to people from Somers and Carmel, we didn't look good that day. And we still haven't looked good up until today. So I'm more than willing to stand here and listen to some of the answers, if you can give them. And I'll be more than happy if we can have a dialogue. There's lots of people here, I'm sure, have the same questions that I have, so maybe I'm saving you some time by them not coming up and repeating the same questions over and over again. But I think that's what really needs to be done. We talk about community involvement, and by the way, it was such a funny thing that since the first day of school, probably 80% of the people in this town got their school tax bill, which didn't leave a very good feeling considering that we're paying these thousands and thousands of dollars, yet we can't correct this transportation issue. And I hope, Mr. Superintendent, that your next first day of school next year is better than this year's. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So, Frank, to your point, everybody else that came up, and thank you very much. So a number of things, and you know this, and I'm sure some of the public knows this. I cannot, nor will I get involved in personnel issues. I'm not allowed to do that. No, I know. But there are people here, the bus drivers will tell you, okay, that I have been out and about every single day, in the morning, in the afternoon, trying to problem solve with Mr. Sotlin and my team what had happened. As I sent out that first Wednesday night, okay, that email said it all. Right? I'm a leader, I can take responsibility for it. But along the way, I can tell you, we have been, and we continue to try to problem solve. And what I discovered were a number of things. And we'll go back to the 9-period day. If the routing, and I'm not disagreeing with some of the things you said, Frank, and the bus drivers will tell you, I've been down there, I was honest and upfront with them as to what was going on. I was honest and upfront with them. Yesterday, I made a comment that you made in the future about them caring and loving and being in this community and knowing about the kids and making sure they're involved in the routes in the future. I learned a lot, Frank. I learned a lot. Let me finish, okay? I learned a lot, okay? There are some things that have been resolved, okay? And I can tell you this, because I was there. The reasoning why the first couple of days, and that's not happening anymore, and I'm sad to say that Mr. Kozakria left. The kids are no longer having to wait and getting out and missing 9th period class. That is not true. Okay, if it is, excuse me, and I will look into it. But up until today, because I can tell you, I haven't been there, and I will promise you I will get back to you, Mrs. Cousins, because every time I've been there, they've gotten out at 2:37 and they're in zone. So let me finish up, if you don't mind, please. So going back to the point that you had said. Every day, we're checking to see the buses and how they're arriving at the high school, right? Because you're right, the high school sets the tone for the middle school and subsequently all the elementary schools. And each day, and I can tell you, I was at Austin Road, okay, the first week, because that seems to be the last school. The second day of school, based on what you said, and I really can't go into Wednesday. Wednesday was an abomination for a variety of different decisions that were made. A total, which caused that 90 minutes. And to your point, with the communication, you're 100% right. Why parents were not communicated with that the bus was broken down. Why the bus was late. Should have been done. It was not done. I can tell you that in my statement that I read before, and I actually, Frank, walked here to the person that does our Infinite Campus, which is our student platform, and watched her walk down to that office. And the bus drivers will tell you, and train that staff how to use School Messenger. So that the expectation is, if for some reason, beyond traffic, normal traffic, right? And that's part of the issue, Frank, that the routing that was done over the summertime did not take into consideration traffic during the school year, okay? Because in my heart of hearts, Frank, had the routing been done properly, we wouldn't have had an issue about the split schedule. We wouldn't have had an issue with a lot of different things if it was done right from the get-go. And I agree with everybody here, right? It's emotional. You don't know where your kids are. You're upset. Had we called you, emailed you, texted you, and said, listen, we're sorry to say that this is what happened, that would have been half the battle. That would have been half the battle. The next point. So Thursday, going back to Austin Road, and those of you who know Mr. Kaiser, Mr. Gardner, he's very much letter to the dot and the T. Thursday, there were 130 students that were picked up by their parents. Thursday, it got better than Wednesday. By Friday, and I was out there, and some of the drivers will tell you, there was only 60 parents. We were down to half because they saw that it had gotten better. And to your point, every day it is getting better. Okay? We don't have buses any longer arriving late at the high school and middle school because when they were arriving late, and some of your comments are true, the kids were rushing to get to class, they couldn't get there, and that was problematic. Steve Truce is right here. He'll tell you, I was with him on the phone every single day, the beginning of the school, end of school. I helped problem solve the catastrophe that was originally up at the middle school. Okay? So, I know, and I clearly, your point is spot on, Frank. Yes, it should not happen again. I believe, let me finish, please. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay, and then listen, I have Steve here, and if it's a specific route, because here's what happens also. This is Bollicini. Right, but listen to me what happens also that we learned, okay? And again, I'm being as transparent and honest as possible. There's also no need for us at the elementary schools to be holding all the buses till everybody gets there. So there were circumstances the first couple of days that we could have sent that first day at Austin Road 6 or 7 buses on because they were running low, but we didn't. So there were a lot of mistakes made, Frank, that believe me, I learned along the way. I told these bus drivers next year, you better believe that before anybody goes out to any route, we're going to get their input. We're going to ask them what's worked well in the past. Steve's been here for over 30-something years. We know, he knows what routes and what pickups should be and shouldn't and where they should be for safety for the kids. So I'm not disagreeing with a lot of what has been said tonight. I have to take responsibility for it. I thought I had it. I thought I did. And the perception was that we did, right? Because we did have meetings. We talked as principals. We wanted to make sure this goes. We spoke with everybody we could, and it did. But ultimately, it's my responsibility. But I can assure you, Frank, and the community, I have not abdicated my role. I've been involved. I've seen what's going on. There's no excuse for it. We're definitely, every day is getting better and better. But I just want to clearly say the following. The 2 issues were the routing. If we routed it properly and we had based it on the flow of traffic that we know happens when parents are on the road, when buses are on the road, and it was routed the right way, and let's say 10 minutes, right, both ways, right, maybe in the morning and afternoon, we would have went, it would have been fine. So I don't want to separate the 9-period day. I do want to respond to the fact of the 9-period. We all knew, and this board knew, that this was the first year that we were doing this. Okay? And the reason that we said it clearly that we were going to learn from it because there was only certain things we could do, Frank, based on the budget. Like we know, and I think we did some really good things in the middle school. We've allowed kids who couldn't have choices to take band and or another class. We added exploratory world languages, as it was mentioned in the presentation. We're doing good things for kids. It's not perfect whatsoever. And my job is to listen to the kids, to you, when we formulate our budget for next year, and talk about a number of different programs that we want to use. Going back to the bus issue, with purchasing the buses and why we don't have the buses and why we don't have enough drivers. With the bus issue, and I got in, Frank, in March, okay, usually what should happen, that the buses, that purchase should go out in January so we can have the buses here for September, and we didn't. The board also asked us to really look at how we're going to purchase it and to make sure that it's an ongoing cycle so we could get the buses, new buses over the next 5-year period. But because we were late in the queue, that's the reason why. That they're coming in October and they're not here now. So, and also we put in motion continual advertisements for drivers. Getting drivers, Frank and everybody, is not easy. It's a national problem trying to get bus drivers. It's just not unique here. So we're trying to be more, I guess, out there in how we publicize it and trying to get people. So clearly, I don't want people to misunderstand that as a superintendent of schools, that I kind of took the side part of this and wasn't involved. I'm just as upset as everybody else is here. Very, very much so. And you're right, Frank. There's no question. Learning what I've learned and knowing what I know and being able to have the expertise of the bus drivers. The gentleman who's in right now, Pete Ferrone's got incredible expertise. Some of the routing systems should have been shared with others, and it wasn't. Some of the protocol for communication in the office wasn't what it should have been. That's why I made this directive, because I've heard that, Frank, not just in transportation, but some of our buildings. You know, after hours, you try to get through the buildings, and you can't get through to anybody either. So in every aspect, we're trying to do what we need to do moving forward, and I thank you for standing up and being honest.
I appreciate that, and having worked with each and every one of you in some capacity over the living here in town, there's no doubt in my mind that you're trying to do the best thing for the kids. No doubt. No doubt. Same thing for our bus drivers, many of them who I've known for many years. Steve, of course, picked up my kids a long, long time ago, and that's all well and good. What I want to understand is, for those of us who are not teachers, and for those of us who don't work for the schools, in the summertime, there's no traffic. It's easy to get down into the city. It's easy, you know, on days off, like the Jewish holiday the other day when I had to work, I knew I could leave 10 minutes later because no problem, right? Mike's laughing. Mike, you know it's true. When listen, the teachers don't want to go back to work in September, and you know what? I don't want them on the road either because it delays the rest of us. But I don't understand how a transportation program was created, I'm not sure by who, that didn't take into effect unless somebody was living under a rock. How you don't realize when school is open that there's going to be more traffic. And was that approved by your administration, the transportation routes? Was that brought, how was that formulated? Because I think that was a lot of, some of the input, some of the questions that people asked me, and I don't know why. I just had one comment that I was upset with my nephew, and all of a sudden people...
I understand. Frank, again, I cannot get into personnel issues, but all I can say to you is I clearly understand what you're saying. Clearly understand what you're saying.
Let me ask you this. Now that we're here today, and it's the first meeting of the year, and everybody, and I actually
thought there would be a lot more people than there are today, but there actually are people who do work on Thursday night. Somebody wanted to send me a letter with a picture of her daughter who she shared with me to show the board, and I said, that's probably not the right thing to do. If you want to share it, go right ahead. But are we going to make some subtle changes, working with the bus drivers now, not next September, now to say, hey, by the way, is that bus stop that we changed, is it better than the one that we had in June, only 3 months ago?
No, that's some of the work that's being done now with Steve.
The question a lot of people wanted to know was,
I'm sorry.
and I don't know, it wasn't perfect last year, because I remember the first couple of days of school, late, I think I made some phone calls, same thing. But it was so much better than it was January 31st, June 26th, last day of school, was so much better than the first day of school this year. And I'm wondering, if something's not broken, why was it fixed?
In response to that, again, I cannot get involved into personnel issues because it's not fair. But here's the reality, Frank, okay? If I can finish. We all have certain expertise in our jobs and what we do, right? And I came to better appreciate that I need to get as involved from A to Z in all aspects of routing, communication, and the like.
Okay.
Well, but what was believed to be apparent may not have been. That's it.
I think that was something that a lot of people asked about also. I think there's a perception out there, I don't know if it's true or not, that because there was a decision made to split the busing for the last 50 years, middle school and high school kids went on the same bus. That was changed this year. Number one, why? And number two, is that the cause of some of the problems that have been caused? Well, we're here, if you can answer, number one, why was that done? I don't think that's a personnel issue. I think
No, that's correct. Right.
And is there some thought process in perhaps correcting and perhaps going back to the way that it was? At this late juncture, maybe, but if you can explain to us why that split occurred.
So, as was mentioned, we were out of compliance from the state. So, as to be able to get the hours, and somebody mentioned it before, the reason why I had to be earlier, not later, is because of extracurricular activities and sports and like. We couldn't start high school at 7:40 or 7:45 or that. It wouldn't just work that way. Can I finish? I'll get to the sports issue in a second. Second to that, the high school gets out earlier. The students still have the availability, because somebody else mentioned this before, of coming down and working with the kids after school. That hasn't been taken away, and that will be coming in process also, because the days are not concurrent with one another. As a part of the discussion that we had, was to flip the days for reasons of transportation. We believed, again, Frank, that it was going to be easier, quicker, and actually make it better for the end of the day with the elementary schools. Obviously, it wasn't, and that's something we're working on. Okay?
This is not a finished product?
Well, obviously, we have seen and we continue to work on what we're looking at and what we need to do moving forward. Again, thank you, Frank. I appreciate it.
Again, thank you. I know what the board does is volunteer. It's a thankless job. There's some people who sit on this board, when they decided that they wanted to run years ago, I said, you're crazy. Don't do it. They still decided to do it. Don't laugh, Mike. You know it's true. But I do thank you there's no question that I think all of us here know your heart's in the right place. Let's make some changes to this issue, and hopefully we can have better days going forward.
Thank you, Frank.
I'm going to go back to the thing with the sports. I understand that we need to have our high school kids that play junior varsity and varsity sports. They need to get to where they need to be. But what about those 8th graders that are on junior varsity and varsity sports?
They're not this year. They're not.
So,
Doesn't affect it.
okay, but
Doesn't
then,
affect it.
let me ask you a question then.
Mhm.
Gymnastics program. There's only a varsity gymnastics program.
But that's different. There's some exceptions. Yes, you're right. Varsity gymnastics.
But now those kids are going to be pulled out of their classes, so if, well, I'm just going,
Right.
maybe they will be. So if they have a accelerated class at 9th period, they're going to have to leave
I'm
early.
supposing they won't be.
The point is, Austin Road is still not on time. Austin Road is still being, the kids are still being dropped off late. We have been picking up my daughter almost every single day from Austin Road. So now we're driving my 2 boys to middle school, and we're picking up my daughter from Austin Road. So now we're using the bus one way each time. And like Frank said, our school tax bills came in. So now I'm paying for these taxes for a privilege that we have, having a bus service in our town, that I'm not being able to take advantage of because my children are not getting to school on time in the morning to make their first period class, although on C&D days, my 6th grader has a study hall. And coming home from Austin Road, we need to get my daughter because she has extracurricular activities that she needs to get to. So I really think that maybe this was an experiment gone awry, or experiment gone bad, and maybe it needs to be reconsidered because when I started hearing this last year from my son who's in 7th grade, that there were petitions going around the middle school being signed by the kids to not have this change made, that the teachers weren't happy with this change. If you need to extend the day because you need to be in New York State mandate, that's fine. I agree, that's great. Let's get our kids, more educational time. But to change the school, I'm going to go back to what is the cost on the buses, on the gas, on the wear and tear? What is that cost? And was that analyzed before this was done? And if so, what is that additional cost that's going to come to us?
Mrs. Puccini, what I can do for you, Mrs. Sutherland, we'll look into that. We'll take a look at what it was. Again, we were told it was going to be better, quicker, and I'm not disagreeing. So we'll take a look at that and we'll get back to you.
And where are you, the board, going to stand on taking this into consideration and changing it back? Because now you have a middle school that is being released after an elementary school. So now that kind of seems to be counterproductive because the middle school children are going to have much more homework, so they're going to be getting home later and they're going to have extracurricular activities. When my son got off the bus at 2 o'clock, he had 3 hours to do his homework before he had to go to his first activity. Now they're getting off 3:15, they're getting home, and they still have to make that 5 o'clock time. So their time is being cut by almost an hour and 15 minutes. So is the board going to reconsider this? Are you going to reconsider this? Are you going to put maybe together a community, table with you guys to discuss this? Is there going to be a step? Is this going to be considered? Or is this is how we're going to move forward and we're just going to iron out the kinks?
I can't speak for the board, but we will have a conversation, I'm sure, after this meeting is over, taking everybody's comments and looking at what we need to do and what's best for kids. And just to be, and thank you, Mrs. Boltini. Be a pain, I'm sorry. As you can see, I'm answering questions. I've done that since I came here as a board superintendent. You're right. We're a community. Again, I can speak, and I think I answered a lot of some of the questions that, Frank had brought up.
Right.
So, I'm sure that after this meeting, we will meet, talk about what options may or may not be, and then move forward from there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Daniela Leonard. I have a senior who attends the tech center and an 8th grader. When this plan was discussed at the district level without any conversation with the parents and the students who would be most impacted, the administrators, in my opinion, failed to realize that there would be scheduling conflicts not only with the buses, but also with the students who attend the tech center. Session 1 students, who are mostly seniors, who are scheduled for a 5th period class at MHS, have 17 minutes to get from Yorktown to the campus. 17 minutes. It's not that it can't be done. They need to arrive, they need to park in the lower lot and get to their class. One student who was late to class and was asked to get a pass was told, "I don't give passes to BOCES kids who are late. It's on you to get here on time." Now, some teachers, thankfully, are aware of the time constraints and do not impose any consequences on the student. But what about those that are not as understanding? These Session 1 students are mostly seniors, many of whom are in required courses like government and economics. At what point in the discussion to change the schedules did someone say, let's look at the big picture? Sadly, I think that point came this September when everything fell apart. So I respectfully ask you to consider starting over. Put both schools back at the previous start time of 7:40, keep the 9th period, and have both middle school and high school students take the same bus. This would give our tech students an opportunity to travel to and from Yorktown safely, as well as alleviate the busing issues at the beginning and end of the day. Even having a slightly later dismissal should allow for all the buses to be able to do their runs without impacting the elementary schools. Thank you.
Ms. Leonard, just 1 second. So, a couple of things with regards to that. I had heard that there was one bus, right, and that was problematic because it was overcrowded. Right, so that was true. I know that Dr. Lawrence, so please give him a call tomorrow. I know Dr. Lawrence had spoke with the tech center and the principals there based on what your comments were. So just double check with him, because to my knowledge, I believe it was rectified. But if it hasn't been, then, let me know, because I believe he did have a conversation with us.
I do know that I won't speak for my
Oh,
teacher.
right.
My son's teacher said that he would let them out a few minutes early.
Mhm.
That day, my son had a problem with, he's in the auto mechanics, he had a problem with his car. And it wasn't working, so they had to fix it. He was about 10 minutes late. The teacher forgot that he was in the tech center, so I said, just go get gas, no problem. And that's what he was told on Monday.
Okay, do me a favor, check tomorrow with Dr. Lawrence and see. I thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
One more? Okay.
Jay Cousins, Archer Road. I've been here for 20 years. I want to thank the board, especially the newly elected members. I tried to be here for Mr. Keene's induction, but unfortunately, I think he was sworn in the ladies' or men's room. I'm not sure which it was. But putting that aside, it was in the men's room. Okay. So I'd like to thank the bus drivers for all their hard work. We naturally don't want you to drive any faster. You drive safely. You're not going to change anything you've done for the past 20, 30 years for the school district because you're there for the safety of our children. The only other thing I want to mention to the board is, without mentioning names or personnel issues, and I don't want a response, pursuant to 3028 of the education law, I hope your decision turns out to be correct to return certain personnel to this school district for one of the reasons my son transferred out of the school district. So I hope that all works out for you. I think you know what I'm talking about. I've represented a very large school district for many years, one of the largest in this state, and it's a very difficult thing under 3028 of the election law to deal with certain personnel issues. The last thing I'd like to talk about is there was a decision made that 8th graders can't try out for certain freshman sports, dealing with things such as basketball. I've coached basketball, I've played in college, and I had a couple guys I actually coached when they were in the 7th grade. They could have played for any JV or maybe a varsity team. They were that good. Now, I'll put it this way. One of my sons and a few other boys, forget about my son. I think these other boys are qualified to be on the JV or varsity. But they've been not given a chance this year to no longer try out for the freshman team, which would elevate their game in the high school's teams in the future. I'd like to know what the process was to eliminate the ability of an 8th grader to at least try out for freshman ball. I understand that there's certain 8th graders that want to play ball, and maybe they're being bumped out by a qualified 7th grader or 8th grader, whatever that might be. I understand the way the sport works, but it sounded like it was a unilateral decision without discussion or input from the public, so maybe the board or the superintendent can enlighten me on the process that was done to achieve that result.
Mr. Cousins, this board had made a decision to take a look at the selective classification because there was a couple of feelings on that. Number one, that there were freshmen and sophomores being cut, and socially, emotionally, to be cut for an 8th grader really is something that this board and myself think is something that's really, really problematic for kids. Second, the selective classification that the board decided to study it this year, okay? And as a part of studying that, they're going to look at it and what it really should or should not be. Because to your point, there were numerous, not one, not two, in some cases last year, 6 and 7 8th graders who went up and played freshman and or JV and therefore bumped freshmen and sophomores from playing. This board is not saying we're not the possibility of not going back and looking at it, but really making what it is, right? For a student athlete that would possibly hurt or injure somebody else on another team, aka our sophomore softball pitcher, right? If she plays softball as 8th graders, it could really be an issue or a problem, okay? So this board decided for this year to freeze it. They asked me and charged me with the possibility of looking at this year's budget, of putting back the full modified sports program, because as we know, 8 years ago, when the budget in tough times, the modified sports program, for the most part, had been trimmed down. And then, of course, Title IX came in, there was a lawsuit, and we had to put some girls' sports back. So I think this board wants to do it right in the future. They decided this year to take a look at it, and then I will be making recommendations coming up for the 1920 school year.
What was the process that you came to that decision? Was it a board decision? Was it your decision?
The board asked me to explore it, and which I did.
There was never any input, and I'd like to know this. Around the jurisdictions that were around, since I represented many years ago this large school district, how many other school districts preclude 8th graders from trying out for, let's say, freshman teams?
Yeah. Most of them, I can tell you, I spoke with the athletic director from Yorktown, only if there is not enough student athletes to fill that team can they be moved up. Otherwise, nobody moves up. They don't even get selective classification. They can't be moved up. Unless I said there's an opening on a team, because there's not enough. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I don't feel very well, but I felt the need to come. All of my questions have already been discussed at length. Some of you might recognize me because I'm very vocal on Facebook, as most of the faces I recognize tonight. I am here to ask the board to please recognize, to form a community communication committee. You guys love your committees. I'm asking for one more where us, parents, teachers, anybody that lives in this community has an interest in the kids, that we put that stuff first, that we have that communication. You guys keep promising. I've only been here for 2 years, and for 2 years I have suffered the trauma of not knowing where my 5, 6, and now 7-year-olds are. It's disturbing that you guys promise and tell us all about the qualifications of personnel, and then 2 years later tell us, sorry. Sorry is really not that great. It does nothing for me, does nothing for my children, it does nothing to calm any of these people, and to have all these people in the community be so angry at something that could just be so simple, whereas we just Communicate at the time where it's most important. I don't need an email 48 minutes when my child has already arrived and is already in my home. I need that message before, when the buses are lining up, when the buses are not showing up. She is 5. She is 6. These kids don't deserve it. And we are here, all of you are here, all of us are here because of the children. I don't care about politics, I don't care about sports, sorry Jay. I don't care about any of that stuff. I care about the kids and those little faces on those buses should have adults really talking and being present and not with our hands in our phones and our hands on Facebook. Complaining on Facebook does absolutely nothing. And I am terrified and wobbling because I don't public speak properly, but I am here to please form and recognize a community communications committee in the spirit of our children's safety. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get your last name again, ma'am? Mrs. Maxwell, just quickly, and again, that is a conversation for myself and the board moving forward, but I do meet every month with the PTO and SEPCO, and we talk about issues and concerns, and I can let you know that our first meeting Trustee Mongan was there and Trustee Swift was there, and it was a 2.5 hour meeting speaking about some of those very concerns that were mentioned here tonight. So, yeah. Yeah, but here's what should happen. After the meeting and discussion takes place with me, that at their next meeting back at school, some of those points and things should be shared. And I am always open for, the buildings can invite me in. We can have conversations at a SEPCO meeting or a PTO meeting. I'm more than willing to do that, and I'm sure after this meeting tonight, there'll be several conversations and recommendations that I will have with the Board of Education. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. All righty. So at this time, I'll motion to close the meeting. Oh, before I close, I just want to say one thing. The board's condolences do go out to Miss Tina Stark and her family, her son Nicholas, who died unexpectedly. She's a member of the community, and she has been a Mayapack Central School District employee for over 20 years, I believe. And it's a very sad situation, so please, our thoughts and prayers are with Miss Tina Stark and her family. Thank you. Motion to close? Second? All in favor? Thank you.